This is when 9 to 5 ends and real talk begins. The After 5 Diaries.
Hi everyone, hi corporate people, hi 9 to 5ers. Welcome back to the After 5 Diaries podcast where corporate life meets real life. The podcast I will talk about 9 to 5 in its entirety and everything in between. My name is Funa. Have you ever had like a knot in your stomach or a churn in your stomach when you think about work, when you think about going into work for a new week? Not because of the job itself or the work that you do, but because of the people, the culture, and then maybe the politics they play in your office. So today we're going to talk about office toxicity. We've discussed it before. I know when I said the After 5 Diaries, that was the topic I kicked off with. But I want us to discuss it more today because it's not a conversation that we just throw aside. As long as you're in 9 to 5 or in corporate culture, we have to keep discussing toxic workplaces. So today I'm joined by two incredible people, Lara and Chooks. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
So Lara and Chooks, they are in 9 to 5, but also content creators on the side. So Chooks has a play coming up. My boss wants me dead. When I heard about the play, I was like, oh really, a play? My boss wants me dead. Are we going to be scared about your boss after that play, Chooks?
Not really.
Tell me more about it.
Not really, but I guess it's just a story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
I guess a story that needs to be told. But I get my boss is safe for now.
So we shouldn't be scared of your boss, yeah?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't know about your own boss or other people's bosses. But not yet.
Exactly. Some bosses are like that. Some bosses would want their staff dead. And we're here to talk about them today.
True.
All right, Lara, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get into the conversation of the day. When we talk about toxic offices, toxic workplaces, what exactly are we trying to say? What is it in its entirety? What makes an office toxic?
Okay. I think for me, I don't have an experience with a toxic workplace per se, but I've worked with customers of the company who have tried to make my experience toxic.
Okay.
Right. So for me, if I were to define it, I would say it's a place where you are not able to express and do your best work pretty much just because of a number of factors that we'll get into later as we go on in the podcast.
Yeah. Do you want to make a contribution?
Oh, sure. I mean, toxic workplace to me is really that feeling when before you go to work, you're worried about going to work. And even when you get off the day, you're like, thank God I've survived.
For the
today."
day.
Right.
Let's prepare for tomorrow.
Exactly. And there's a way you over celebrate holidays or days that you don't have to go. It just kind of shows like that environment is not really, nice. But I have so much to say, but I think maybe later on.
Yeah, in the course of the conversation.
we will.
Okay, let's talk about your play, My Boss Wants Me Dead.
Oh.
What kind of character or what kind of message were you trying to portray in presenting that play by putting it out to the public? It's not out yet, though. It's in May,
May
right?
2nd.
I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay.
May 2nd. Alliance Française, ICOI.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. So what was on your mind? What was going through your mind when you tried to put that play together? What were you trying to portray?
So unlike Clara, I've actually experienced some of these kind of things before, and they are very subtle.
Yeah.
It's as little as people are so afraid to talk in the office. It's like you notice that this thing is wrong, or this thing will make things better, but it's like you go and say it now. I will not say it. You go and say it. That's one of the in fact, if you get into a workplace and you notice that first, that's like one of the very first markers that the environment there is really, really toxic. Other things are things like favoritism. There's just one staff that seems to have different rules from every other person. Those kind of things. It just makes the working experience very difficult and unbearable. And that's what we are trying to portray with the play. It's about ethics. It's about employer-employee relationship. Because the truth is that when you have this kind of workplace that's toxic and people cannot speak up, it has a negative impact to the organization. Because the people who are doing the process, that's your staff, they have better foresight to issues. They are in best position to talk about, okay, based on the industry, this is what I think is good, this is what I think we should do. But when you silence them like that, you just take away, that insight that you would have had. And I don't think it's only for the corporate staff, even for the cleaners, even for the drivers. You could create a toxic workplace for them, and forgetting that they have a lot to
say and put out,
to help the organization. So
Yeah. So that's what you were trying to portray in my
That's
boss
what
wants
we are
me there.
portraying. Very toxic story. A
I-
lot of people will relate. A lot of people
I can't
may
really. I
relate.
can't wait to watch that play. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah, we are looking forward to that. So let's quickly talk about red flags. When people, there are so many things that people have normalized, so many habits or characters or portrayals to look out for that people see as normal. I'm going to read out a story in the course of our conversation. There are things that happen in offices and people are already used to it because to them it's normal, but they don't know it's toxic. Those are toxic characters, toxic traits. So what are those red flags that people should look out for? And maybe when a boss is displaying such a character or such a trait, maybe when your colleagues are displaying that, it's not normal. It might be normal in your company or in your office, but this is a very big red flag for a corporate society or for a corporate environment. So what are those red flags that we should look out for in offices, Lara?
So I think number one for me would be encroaching on your personal life.
Okay.
So just to share an example, I was going for a party with like a friend, and then while we were on our way, she got a call from our boss. This was at night, and the boss was asking about the tax that she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And, she was like, oh, when I get home, I'll get on it, da, 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 da. And then, after the whole conversation that I overheard, I'm like, what's happening? Like, this is the weekend and it's almost night. What are you still getting on? She's like, oh, it's normal, though. Like, I can call you at any time. You just have to respond, all of those. And I'm like, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Right. So I know that for a country like this where, you have to work hard, people cannot sort of separate the fact that you can work hard under your contract and not necessarily it's encroaching into your own personal time. So you see people work weekends, you see people work till 9 p.m., 10 p.m., sometimes pull all-nighters because of their work. Yes, we agree that there are special circumstances where you have to go above and beyond maybe for certain project at work. But like you said, some people have normalized this where you now sort of get penalized, where maybe you get to the office and then your boss is saying, oh, I called you yesterday, you didn't pick my call, why didn't you pick? And you look at the time, you're calling me at 10 p.m.
For real.
Why am I picking your call? Right? And then you find that you're apologizing for not picking, like it's your personal time, and that shouldn't be happening, right?
Yeah.
So I think number one red flag for me is when you get to a new place, for example, and you're asking around and you see that people are like, oh, call me when you get home, 7 p.m., or I'll call you at night, or let's meet this weekend for something, then you should begin to ask strategic questions like what's happening
let's meet this weekend for work. Exactly.
That type of thing. So that's like the number one.
One of the red flags to look out for. And it could be normal to people.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll speak to you over the weekend. Oh, yes, on Sunday we're talking about work. That's my personal space. That's my personal time for my friends and family. And then I'm bringing work home and all of that. Chooks, you want to add to some more red flags that we should look out for?
Yes. In fact, I'm not going to call the company name, but I'll tell you, like red flag you can notice from the start. When the HR is already glorifying burnout at your induction, which is like, in fact, we just finished a strategy session yesterday over the weekend, and you can see that I'm already here in the office. I don't know if that's supposed to impress me, but to me that just shows like, wow, so that's how you people like operate in this place, But then they try to impute that fear, in you and sort of gaslight you like loyalty pays, like you need to show up, this is those days, this is how we were doing those days, this is how it was those days. That gaslighting, once I hear it, I just know that these people are the way these people are moving. Exactly.
So yes, fair points there. When you're living in fear, you have something to say and you can't express yourself in your workspace. You can't speak to your boss. You can't walk up to your boss. There's no open door policies, nothing. You're just there to do your work at your desk. You leave. You're constantly shivering. When your boss comes and you guys are really, oh, he has come. He's back here. And you guys are living in fear and then encroaching in the space. There are so many other red flags, so many other things that happens in offices that people should know that, this is a toxic workplace. Like, let's talk about leadership, for instance, the enablers of toxicity in environments or in workspaces. Let's talk about leadership. Do you think bosses, group heads, divisional heads, heads of institutions, or heads of departments in corporations and offices are enablers of? How do they enable toxicity?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go first, please.
Yeah, I think there's a saying that people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad managers.
Yeah.
Right. So people people that drive you out of a particular place. So the thing is, not every good employee is going to be a good manager or a good leader.
Yeah.
So what you find is that, for example, some companies promote certain people maybe because of years of experience and all of that to become managers and head of divisions or head of departments without necessarily confirming that they are able and they have the
Leadership,
capability
culture.
to lead a team. And so you find that when they become leaders, they lead the team astray. They become leaders and in a year, everybody under them, they resigned.
Yeah.
Right. And
Tell me about
when
it.
you dig deep, you realize that they've created a very toxic environment for the people that they were leading. Right. So that's one of the things. Leadership, number one enabler of toxicity in the workplace. That's
Yeah.
just the truth. And they do that by one, micromanaging.
Thank you.
So you find some people, you start wondering, why did you employ me if you are not going to let me do this work? Like, you've given me a task to do, and then at every point in time, you're coming to meet me, what's up with this? What's up with this? Copy me in this email. Let me see this email before you send it. So when you start questioning, why can't I write an email by myself? Why do I have to copy you? Or you hear things like, oh, there's an order in which you should copy
Yeah.
in the email. Copy me first before you copy other people. Why did you copy me last? You know, really, really things like you start
Micromanagement.
thinking, oh my God, what am I doing here? And then when you find that you start questioning your worth, you start questioning what you bring to the table. These are subtle, not even subtle, loud signs
Loud.
of toxicity in the workplace. And
Yeah.
very much so, you find that it's a leader that is enabling, because you can have a very nice organization where a particular team is thriving, and then you find other people in another team just complaining, and you're wondering, is it not the same workspace,
Yeah.
right? But it's definitely a leader in that particular team that is causing every other person to stress out. So yes, leadership, yes, micromanagement is one way in which
Fair
that
point.
happens.
Micromanaging bosses.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that? From my boss wants me dead.
Well,
Yeah.
I think one of the things is fairness, fairness and equity when it comes to leadership. I'll talk from a very risk management point of view, because that's what I do. When there are rules, right, or we do things this way, people look up to leadership on how they take those rules or how they address those kind of decisions. And when it turns out like, okay, maybe when I get to this level, I can now begin to behave like this.
Yeah.
It really points a very negative, example of leadership. But again, the second thing is that some leaders, group heads, they pass down frustration, to their staff. Sometimes those board meetings can be really, strangling for them. So when they just come in, they just pack that whole thing like that, and they just dump it on their, on their subordinates, which is really, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about that, because when you listen in on some of those board sessions, it's just like,
Yeah.
cascades down.
Yeah. I used to have a boss that would say that you don't bring your personal problems to work. I think most of these things, like if I have to borrow your word cascading, it's people bringing their problems to the office.
Yeah.
And they now take it out, pour their frustration on their colleagues, other people, and it affects the workspace generally. So I do have a story to read out on that. Let me quickly read it and we'll talk about it. Hi, Funa. My name is Ada. I got my first job in Lagos, believing it was the start of something great. I remember that first morning so clearly. Perfect outfit, rehearsed introductions, so much hope, but within weeks, excitement turned into fear. My manager hovered over everything that I did, correcting me in front of others and making me feel small. In meetings, my ideas were dismissed, and I keep wondering why I was even there in the first place. The deadlines were relentless. I worked until dawn, exhausted and anxious, terrified of falling short. When I finally spoke up to HR, I was told to manage my manager. My colleague just shrugged and said, "Welcome to the club." That was when it hit me that this was normal to them. A toxic survival of the fittest culture where people gossiped, called me weak, and rewarded those who flattered the bosses. Meanwhile, I was invisible, shrinking more every day. I cried in the restrooms more times than I could count, telling myself to hold it together, but I couldn't. I started having panic attacks, my chest tightening on my way to work, sleepless nights, questioning if I was the problem. Then one day I collapsed in the office and woke up in the hospital, completely drained. Even then, my boss called me in the hospital, not out of concern, but to ask me if I'd completed a task before I passed out. That was my breaking point. I knew I had to leave. I resigned the following week with no plan, no safety net, no new job in sight. Just the certainty that no paycheck was worth my peace of mind. Walking out felt like escaping a prison, but I felt broken. my confidence was gone and I felt hollow, like parts of me had been taken. Healing wasn't immediate. It took support from my pastor, friends, family, and mentors, alongside deep self-reflection and daily affirmations for me to heal. Slowly, I began to rebuild. 3 months later, I found a healthier workplace, even though it was paying less, but at least I wasn't living in fear. I endured that toxicity for 2 years, and the scars are still there till date. That's why I share my story, because toxic workplaces are real. Yeah. So let's quickly talk about the story.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's the place about managing your manager.
Yeah.
I coincidentally I spoke about that today on my page, but that's a separate conversation, because there's also there's a reason why your manager is your manager.
Yeah.
Right. So there's so many symptoms she listed, or all the things that she went through.
Like she gave us a summary of everything that we need to know.
Things, like they're micromanaging you, your ideas are being dismissed, you're being corrected.
Gossip culture. I want us to talk about that.
Gossip culture, all of that. One of the things, when I became a manager, one of the things that I told myself is that every experience that I've had with other managers that was bad, I would not repeat those experiences for the people that I'm managing.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things you have to do as a manager is to treat everybody you're managing on a case-by-case basis. When someone new joins my team, I'll do a one-on-one with you and ask you questions. How do you want to be managed? This is how I work. How do you work?
That's impressive.
Because the thing about being corrected, like I've had a conversation with someone I used to manage. I'm like, would you prefer I give you feedback on this Slack channel, or would you prefer I DM you? Because for some people, they don't know how to receive criticism, especially in front of other people. And then she's like, no, you can do this by this method. So not everybody will have that conversation with you, because if you are scolding me in front of everybody, you shatter my self-confidence. I don't want to talk again. I don't share my ideas with you again.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be very, very scared.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just already an example of a bad manager, honestly. And to the point where you're working, you're living in fear, and then you now collapse. I mean, we're speaking about toxicity, but even for you as a 9-to-5, I tell people, so when it comes to working, right, you're there because you're providing value. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? You don't have to necessarily have to let it get to the point where it starts affecting your health, your physical health, your mental health as well, right? She said she has to enjoy it for 2 years, right? That's not something that should even happen, right? I think I understand, you can't just leave your job, money and all of that, but there's a price you cannot put on your mental health, because even after 2 years, she's still going to go through that old healing process, maybe still have panic attacks, maybe when, like she should just remember and it will just trigger her all over again, right? So there are just so many things where I think what I'll just tell people is, when you get to a place where you realize that people are gossiping a lot and they are saying things, especially about maybe their bosses, or they're telling you things that they cannot say out loud in public, just be very, very careful. Like, what's happening here? Do not join that gossip culture if you can. Even when they tell you things, in fact, put yourself in a position where they don't even want to come and tell you. Because when they tell you, you are not reacting, you are not excited, you are just like, sorry, I'm busy. You want to stay clear of that. But the truth is, that kind of place is not even somewhere you want to stay for a long time.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, they'll come and say, oh, you are doing too much. The bosses, one thing, like you don't even used to, it's better to be that person than to be part of the canker worm that is in the company, pretty much. But like I said, there's just so many things to,
bring up from the story. It's a lot.
You shouldn't be going through this, honestly.
Exactly.
I don't know how much you're paying me. Once it gets to a point where I can't sleep, I'm pulling all-nighters, I'm getting sick, I'm sure that the burnout is even going to be caused by the fact that she can't even say she wants to go on leave. Or maybe she has tried to apply for leave and it has been
denied and stuff like that.
Right?
Or walking leave.
Thank you. Like, some people be on leave and it's like, why did I even go on leave? All your work, all your tasks, I still asking you, what's up, how far? All of those type of things. So honestly, as a 9-to-5, you shouldn't even put yourself in certain situations. just remove yourself. How will I survive if I leave? Da, 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 da. But at the end of the day, the price you have to pay after going through that experience, it's a lot. You can't even put a price to it, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yossi, thank you. Good point there. Good point there. Shooks, let's really like relate this story to your boss wants me, my boss wants me
boss
dead
wants me dead.
story. So I know that, like Lara said, there is a lot of things. There are a lot of things to pick out from this story. The gossip culture, welcome to the club of abused people. Like it's normal for this kind of people. You know, some offices are like this.
Of course.
Some offices are like this in 9-to-5 corporate culture. So how do people, especially the gossip culture, the whole gossip thing, snitches in the office and all of that, people who want to talk up to the boss, you know, and stuff, how do you think Ada would have handled things differently when it comes to the gossip that was happening back in her office? How do you think she would have handled things differently for Ada and people in similar situations?
First of all, my deepest condolences to Ada, because I mean I don't wish that for anybody. But I mean, I guess one of the things I would say to 9-to-5ers is to always know your value and know your worth. Focus on improving yourself and always have options. I'm saying it because I've experienced similar situation, and I know people who have experienced similar situation. And I know people who have also worked for so many years and realized that, you know, at some point in my life, I should have realized that I could have moved to this place or moved to that place. So I encourage 9-to-5ers to know your worth, know your value. When it comes to gossip, it's really interesting because, and I mean, you will see this in the play also, is that it's tricky not to involve yourself at all in the gossip. Is maybe a disadvantage, could be, because sometimes you get to know what's going on or what's going to happen. So I wouldn't say just completely don't listen.
Exempt yourself. Right?
Don't listen to the gossip, even if it's gossip anyway, but it's good to be up to date with what's going on. But at the same time, I also believe that keeping yourself in that situation for 2 years sort of encourages them to continue to treat you like that. That's really how it is. So I mean, when it comes to Ada, I hope that she's feeling. I hope she's feeling better now.
She's feeling better right now.
Yes, I hope she's feeling better now. But I can imagine. I mean, the boss literally told her she should have scheduled her fainting. Right?
That's like
what's up with your task?
She fainted off schedule, which is really sad, honestly.
I think it's also worth mentioning, like you said, like when you know your worth and what you're bringing to the table, you will not be scared of exploring other options. Or to be confident that better things would come my way. Yeah. Right? Because I feel like, because I hear a lot of stories, maybe like, oh, your boss is shouting on you, your boss is telling you to get out.
And you're taking really, it all in.
People are going through a lot. Yes, and for me, maybe now, maybe not when I started in my career, but like, you can't tell me to shut up and get out, and I will now
in a corporate environment
and go and cry. Like, I'm actually going to tell you, don't speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, Nigeria alone, we live in a very oppressive society.
Yeah.
And people, leaders, most especially when you get to a position of power, you want to oppress other people. But at the end of the day, you can only treat people the way they allow you.
Exactly.
So if you tell me shut up, I'm going to tell you not to tell me to shut up again. I'm going to tell you I don't appreciate you speaking to me
in that manner.
Yes. And for those kind of people, they'll be shocked that you're even talking back at them. And if it will lead to say, oh, you're disrespectful, get out, you're fired, it's okay.
So be it.
It's okay. And if you firing me is not legal, or if there's something in my contract, I'm going to fight you on it. I'm going to take you to court.
Yeah.
You know, but the truth is, I will not stand there and allow you to abuse me, to curse me out, to speak to me anyhow.
Absolutely. Don't just stand there and taking some things. Like,
if I should even add, you know, one of the environments you see this the most are one single man
businesses.
Those
not like in big corporates, large corporates and stuff.
One person is just
everything,
alpha and omega, you know, and every other person just has to fall in line. That's actually, and I think HRs really should sit up.
Yeah,
you know, and stand
I'm going
up
to talk about HR briefly.
Because they are really, sometimes they are enablers of this kind of thing. You know, and it's really worrisome. These things are real. I mean, I know people who are currently going through it, but what I normally say is that as a 9-to-5, every now and then price the market, Go outside.
And see
Apply
what's
for other
outside.
jobs. Yes.
Yeah.
Not that you should resign and go, but like price it, put your CV out, see if you're still up to market value. You can still take one interview here or there and just like,
Yeah.
always, like I always, that's but I don't know if maybe people may see this as bad advice, but I'll tell you the truth. The managers or the owners, like the executive or directors, they are constantly doing this. When they are at the golf course, that's why you hear that the company was acquired. Nobody came to you to ask you. They made those decisions based on what will favor them. So I don't think you should
You should
yeah,
look
you
out for
should look
yourself
after
as
for
well, as an
yourself. Yes,
individual.
because was it one of the custodians closed down, and they had to send away all their
the staff.
staffs. That decision could have been made at the golf course,
Yeah.
and then it cascades down to you. That's why I always advise, like, keep pricing the market, keep putting yourself like out there. If you see an opportunity, just apply. It doesn't mean that you have to resign, but just apply. Just check it out. See that, okay, they accepted my CV. Interesting. That means, I'm still marketable.
Okay.
That would reduce the fear, of that.
Yeah.
The After Five Diaries.
So, Chicks, thank you very much. I like the fact that you said people should still put themselves out there. So don't just endure. Like Ada endured for 2 years. Like she took in like everything, all those things were happening. I pity the young lady.
Yes, sir.
All those things were happening to her for 2 years.
Peace and love.
You don't have to like wait till that long before you exempt or exit yourself from that kind of situation. So, but there are still other things that happen in offices that we've not really talked about, like several things that go on in offices and companies that we need to talk about right now. Things like favoritism from bosses and leaders. I know we've talked about leaders enough, but we can't talk about them enough. We've talked about them already, but we need to still talk about what they do. Leadership culture. They have their clique, they have the people they give all the recognition, the promotion and stuff. And then some people are just wallowing because they don't suck up to the bosses and all of that. Why? Let's talk more about leaders. Why do you think this happens? Why does it happen?
So to speak to lack of recognition, right, it's also a subtle but not so subtle sign of a toxic place. So when you notice that you share ideas and your ideas are being dismissed, or you pull off a project or something and nobody's even saying anything about it, like everything you do is like business as usual, even though you can tell that it's a big deal, then that's a sign that something is wrong somewhere. Especially when you then notice that recognition is being given to somebody else. Maybe somebody does something that is not even as significant as what you did, but they are being praised, they are being recognized, then you should definitely start asking more questions and start finding out how to live there. Mm-hmm. So one thing that helps, right, is that when you are in an unstructured environment, it's always easy to tell.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that there should be a metric for sort of making things balanced. Mm-hmm. If you pull off a particular project that it's clear that you should get recognition or maybe like a bonus, appraisal bonus or performance bonus for, and there's no structure for that in place, then that's a subtle red flag to look out for. Mm-hmm. If it's in your contract that your salary is meant to be reviewed on a yearly basis and no conversation whatsoever is being brought up and you'll be there for 2-3 years, that's a subtle red flag, right? If it's not in your contract at all, that's a conversation you should have with your HR or with your manager, right? So companies are able to get away with toxicity because they don't put structures in place. And so you can't really hold them to anything.
Yeah.
So everything that they say or everything that you see is what you then think is the structure or is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. So as an employee, it's important that you even understand what your rights should be and what should be obtainable in a place of work.
Yeah.
Right? There's the part about how your work doesn't speak for itself and you should even be able to say, this is what I did.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a separate conversation. So if you then now say, this is what I've done, and you're expecting, some level of recognition or something to be said and nothing is happening, then that's a red flag right there. And because it's a structural / leadership thing, there isn't so much that you can do at that point in time. And so you find that people are in workplaces and they are very resentful. They don't like their bosses. They don't like that colleague that is being showed favoritism. Like people are then in competition with each other. They are gossiping. All of that lack of structure just breeds everything that is necessary for a toxic workplace.
To exist.
So, like Shuk said earlier, at the end of the day, it's about you. It's about me. I always say something. What are the things that I can control?
Yeah.
What are the things I can't control? Let me focus on what I can control. If it's a case where I'm now trying to price the market, I'm looking out for jobs, I can give myself, Malaya, you have to stay here for 1 year. After 1 year, you're getting out of here if nothing changes. But what we find is that people expect other people to fix their life for them or to fix things for them. You're expecting that one day your boss that has been in the company for 15 years will then wake up and say, hey, Chidinma, it's your turn today.
Yeah.
Promotion has fallen. Like, you can't control his response. You can't control. You are just open. People are in offices for 10 years, no promotion.
Nothing has happened.
I don't understand what you're doing there. At that point, it's no longer a them problem. It's a you problem because you don't know your value. You don't know what you're being. You don't know what you should be getting.
Yeah.
And you find in that same organization, somebody comes in 1 year, 2 years, and they've already become your boss. Meanwhile, you are just sitting down there, taking everything that they're giving to you.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think at the end of the day, while we can already see clearly that toxicity is enabled by leadership and some of these other things, it still boils down on you.
Yeah. As an individual, how you want to handle it.
Yeah.
I think there's something I wanted to say based on what Lara was saying earlier. When you see an organization that has a lot of structure for consequence management, but they don't have for incentive, that's something you should know that there's a big problem. When you know that if you come 10 minutes late, you remove 3K from your salary. If you don't wear your tie, we'll remove 1.5 from your salary. When you see that, but you don't see if you bring in 1 million. When you don't see that kind of this, you just know that these people are they are out
the
for your
system
life.
here is not it for me.
Exactly.
Like, so there are so many reasons why this exists. Toxic work culture. Let's quickly talk about human resources. Enablers of toxicity. What role do you think human resources play in enabling toxicity in offices? Lara, do you want to comment?
So I think human resources is supposed to be the bridge between employees and employer, right? But what we mostly see is that they are mostly with the employer. And I wouldn't necessarily blame them because, again, it also stems from what they understand to be a healthy work environment, right? If they're coming from a place where it's toxic, they will definitely bring that culture into the new workplace, right? There's also the bit where, at the end of the day, your HR manager is not the owner of the company.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that sometimes what they're doing is because of the directive that they've gotten from the management. And sometimes, maybe some of them have also pushed back on some policies or some things, but you realize that as they're trying to push back, the management is threatening their own job as well to say, you better be careful. Are you for us or against us?
True.
And for someone that is looking for his or her daily bread, he or she will just align with what the management is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So there's also that bit of things, right? There's also the bit where you then see that some of them get to this place of power, and even what they did not send them is
They'll
what
be
they
doing.
do. Their own is even more than the person that
Extreme.
employed you in the first place. So yes, some of them can be enablers,
Yeah.
but you need to understand where they are also coming from. Are they enablers because they don't have a choice and they feel like their job is threatened?
Well, I blame the HR people more than you will, and that's because there is a place for disclosure and disclaimer. If you feel like this thing is beyond you and it's because of the employer, sometimes it's good to communicate.
Yeah.
So that people also understand that this is coming from the top and maybe I don't need to be here anymore. But there's another department that I want to talk about. It is the risk management department.
Okay.
Sometimes those guys, and I hope risk managers will actually see this video. Sometimes they are so fixated on catching people. It's almost like that's why they are there too. It's not really the purpose of risk management. It's to
Okay.
actually help people meet their objective, even their personal objective. If
Okay.
someone feels disgruntled, definitely to affect the quality of work that
Okay.
they put in. So when you do like a risk register review, or you do like your, annual risk review or risk control self-assessment, that is a time for you to actually take this, because as a risk manager, you report to the board.
Okay.
First of all, so the kind of reports you send out to the board really influences everything that happens in the organization. So
Okay.
maybe if they could leave the mentality of trying to catch
people,
but rather, it's more of a consulting role than a policing role.
Okay.
That's what risk management is. So you should rather come closer to people. What are you facing? What are you experiencing? And then turn that into data. If I make a survey and everybody in the organization, 80 out of 85, are saying that they don't feel that this is a conducive place to work, that's good enough for me to send to the board. I can just quickly do that, make it clear that in my remark, I'm saying that everybody working here, or 80% of people working here, are one job offer, same salary away from leaving.
Yeah.
And that's good information. So I think that sort of support, that's actually why there are this kind of departments, not really to, catch and really. So, just to bring them also into this conversation, because they are part of it.
It's not just HR.
No, it's not just HR.
There are other departments involved in this conversation. I know. I love the chat. I love the fact that you brought in risk management. This is the first time I'm hearing this
I'm a risk manager. That's why I'm saying
this is the first time I'm hearing like this point about risk management. I think, like you said, if they are listening, this is also their role to play. So let's quickly talk about how we can fix toxic workplaces. I know the responsibility lies on everybody in the organization, from the employer to the organization itself as a body, to human resources, and now to risk management that I keep mentioned. Everybody has a role to play. What would that individual do, or a 9-to-5 fire in a toxic environment? What role do you think they should play as an individual who has been, like someone like Ada, for instance? If someone like Ada had listened to our podcast or this conversation about toxic workplaces, what could she do as an individual to not be affected by toxicity? Let's bring in the conversation of mental health, what it does to people's head, what it does to your head. You see, Ada, she had to use psychologists, therapy,
Cry.
Church, pastor, family, self-affirmation to get back herself. So what should an individual do to curtail or to manage toxicity before we get to the organization?
For individuals, I don't think there's much you can do. You can try to sort of do things that you can control, conversations that you can sort of control. You can try and do that, right? But because of the way these things can be, there are so many things that are completely outside of your control. So if you find that you can manage for a period of time while you're setting your eyes on other things, then you should definitely stay there. Do the best that you can. Stay out of trouble and start planning your exit.
Exactly.
Right? But if you find that this thing is so bad that, like Ada, you're falling sick, you're collapsing, it's really messing with your life in general, then just leave. Because nothing is worth
your peace of mind.
Your peace of mind, your mental health, even your physical health, right? Nothing, because there are studies where we find that stress can trigger a lot of autoimmune diseases. Like you find that you stress yourself in those 2 years, and even after you've left that place, you're still falling sick, or you're having recurring symptoms of certain things, and you might not even be, you can't remember to draw the line to that toxic place that you worked, right? So as individuals, I would just say again, focus on things that you can control. Price the market, like Chooks have said. So you're always looking out for other opportunities, because fixing it is a leadership problem, leadership role. Most of the things. The other thing that you can do as an individual is that you shouldn't be that person that joins other people to spread toxicity. So just do your day, do your own work, right? So that's what I would say tonight.
And I'd say, like, really, you should not let some things get to you as an individual. You know how to manage your emotions and all of that. If you can't leave, I think leaving should be the last resort. You know. What do you think? Leaving should be. Is it easy to get a job in Lagos? Is it easy to like replace your job?
So
it's not.
Let me use that
just a testimony.
Okay.
Just a testimony.
Okay, sure.
I've resigned from a job in 2 weeks.
Really?
You see?
So what did
Great
you do
job.
after?
I waited for some time because I was already checking out other places. So I already had a few places that were like, okay, come for an interview or stuff like that. And even if it was not there, the truth is you cannot really, so sorry, I'm a Christian. So, but I believe this strongly. I'm not the one who takes care of myself.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It is the illusion that it is you that is caring for yourself that's really the issue. Maybe not really.
Yeah.
And that's why I encourage, people to just think about yourself. Think about your life.
Yeah.
The place I was, they close at 6. 8 to 6. Strange. I don't know. Maybe it's normal for
9
people.
to 5 or 8
It's
to 5.
9 to 5.
8 to 6. And then on Thursdays, they stay back till like 7:30 or 8 to do some. I don't know what they do. Then on Saturdays, they also meet to do. I don't know what they do on Saturdays. When I
Wow.
just saw all of that, I was like,
I can't take
what
this.
am I
What
fixing
are you
here?
doing here?
Like, what am I fixing here? I guess it's time to. But I'm not advising everybody to
Resign. It's everybody
to
that can be like
resign.
you and
No,
resign.
I'm not advising
Getting
that.
a
but
job is not that easy.
I agree.
I think
I
living.
agree, but a job is not always the option. There are
Yeah.
other things apart from getting another job, right? There are other things. There are businesses you can run. I know it's not everybody that has the bandwidth to run a business, but it's not
Toxicity will not let you have time for that.
true. But I mean,
So what can organizations do? I know there are organizations that enable toxicity, like maybe rewarding a toxic person because they are they are results driven. There are organizations like that. Oh, this person, we can't afford to lose him or her. We can't afford, this person brings results. He or she's very hardworking. But
No.
yeah, she's very
That's
hardworking.
very-
You understand the point I'm trying to
So
make?
the truth is
So
that
what
there
do we
are-
do? And this person is constantly toxic to other people. What can an
So-
organization do in a situation like this?
it's very
Let me
tricky.
just quickly talk about this.
It's tricky because result is important.
Yeah, results is important.
Result is important.
At what cost?
Yes. Sometimes you have to measure. Imagine the person that brings in 75% of the deals.
Revenue.
And then the person is toxic.
Sure you get.
Yeah.
So the thing is a little bit like
Very tricky.
Do you get? And the person is in high demand because every now and then the person is telling you, Alpha, move this salary up. If not, and then you just have to move because there are roles like that.
Yeah, there are roles like that. There are
people
very
like-
important
especially
people like that in
IT.
organizations. Yeah.
IT also, like there are people that they just do whatever they feel like, but they just know that before you get somebody as good as me, you will really search the market very well.
Yeah.
To find, so
And then
it's difficult, but I really think that is why it's good to have policy, so that it's not one person trying to correct the other person, or it's just what is there. It's just what the structure says, just what the framework says. So it's not really one person trying to, but this is very dicey. But sometimes the
Especially
board
when
will
you can
ask
afford
you,
to lose such
the
a
board will
person.
tell you they don't want that person to.
I think the what you can do or what the leader can do in that position is just to make sure that that person is not a manager to other people.
thank you.
So
Nice.
do your work, be an independent person, report directly to the founder of
The organization.
just be like that. Because even though you're bringing in money and all of that, if you're managing people, you're bringing in some 5% of your revenue, and every year the company's turnover is high because of you. People are resigning every month. Everybody
That's
they bring, you
attrition.
can't work with attrition. I don't think it looks good overall.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, right, even though you don't want to quantify in terms of like revenue, it doesn't look good for your company. Where
Doesn't.
people are talking outside and you're like, oh, don't go there. Oh, there's one guy there. There's one guy there. Right. So yes, it's a tricky decision. But for some other people, it's as simple as, see, guy, this is what we're hearing, this is what is happening. And if you don't, I mean, obviously you're not just going to fire the person, but if it gets to it, I feel like you should just let the person go.
Yeah.
Yes. At the end of the day, it might take time, but you definitely find somebody, because the truth is, people like that, they are not even doing enough work to be able to pass on their knowledge to another
other
person.
people.
They are hoarding it.
Yeah.
So like, what's the point? You're not training another person. You now become like somebody that we cannot do without, which is not even good for
It's
your
not
business.
good for the company.
Right. So
what
even-
if they decide to leave themselves?
It's actually a huge risk. It's like a dependency.
Yeah.
It's like if that person decides that I'm going to leave today, what now?
you now owed everybody to ransom.
What now happens? I think this also says a lot about the recruitment process, because recruitment should not only be focused on
Performance.
qualification and performance. It should also
Culture
be
fit.
Yes, culture fit is very important. Some organizations look at that, some don't. But I mean, it says a lot about your recruitment process if you have a lot of this type of people,
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah, recruitment process. So
Says
everybody has a role to play. Employees, organization, human resources. There are so many things that we need to, put in place in organizations to be able to curtail toxicity. I would really, really love to keep chatting because there are so many things to talk about in toxic environments and toxic work culture. But finally, to wrap up, I would want to know, what can you advise someone who has found themselves here? I know we've really talked about that already. What can you do, especially when you're unable to find another job? Just quickly advise someone who's in a toxic environment.
First, I will tell you, come for this show. Come for this. My boss wants
me there. Please tell them the dates of the show because we want to.
May 2nd, Alliance Francaise Ikoyi. That's Mike Adenuga Center.
Okay.
Ikoyi.
Yeah.
After the play, my boss wants me there. There'll be a panel.
Okay.
And that panel session will have top HR leaders. So
Okay.
you'll see people from Seamless HR, Seplat, Sahara,
that's
FCMB,
beautiful.
and they would have to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Right. They will have to talk about how to maneuver
Mm-hmm.
or deal with it. So I guess there you would have a very, overview of everything.
Yeah, we'll be there.
In addition to every other thing we've said, actually. In addition to every other thing we've
Yes.
said.
Last words.
Right. I would say, as a 9 to 5, just do your best work. Focus on the things that you can control. When it starts messing with you physically and mentally, just give yourself a time frame, work towards it, and plan your exits if you cannot leave immediately.
Yeah, plan your exits. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chooks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lara. Oh, God, I really love to keep chatting. To everyone watching, to everybody who has watched this topic and this topic resonates with you, I'd like to share, like, subscribe on our social media platforms, share to people who are in toxic work environments that need to hear this, and also share to them to come for Chooks' play. My boss wants me dead. But if you find yourself in a toxic environment, please plan your exits, like I've said. Do everything within your power to not let that toxicity get to your head, because once it begins to affect your mental health, I don't think there's any going back. It's going to take a lot to get you out of that hollow or hole of mental instability.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening today. Thank you for watching the After 5 Diaries. Keep it locked with us. Till next time, I'll bring you something else as relevant as this. Thank you, guys.
This is where 9 to 5 ends and real talk begins. The After 5 Diaries.